I promise the fact that this is a bear, just like last week, is a pure coincidence. It's just a Christmas ornament. It didn't even occur to me until after I had taken the shot that it was also a bear. So don't read anything into this. It's just a coincidence. But there's a couple key things that are notably different about this photo with regard to lighting. And they're subtle things. And so you might have to pull up last week's photo and then this week's photo side by side to see what I'm talking about here. But the basic idea is, yes, this is pretty similar to last week's photo in some really obvious ways. It's one subject. It's even the same subject. It's a bear in the center of the frame. It's a really close-up shot. There's Christmas lights from our Christmas tree blurred out behind it. There's a lot of similarities. But some important differences have to do with the way the lighting in the background is placed against the subject. So last week, I tried to take a photo in such a way that the subject was sort of surrounded by a ring of lights, and not literally. I mean, if you pull up last week's photo, you'll see that it's very clearly not a perfect ring of lights. But generally speaking, the lights kind of surround the subject. And then they almost like mirror the ring of beads around the subject. In this one, it's totally opposite. The lights in the background are clustered right behind the subject, almost as if they are accentuating the subject itself. And then around that, there's like this ring of darkness. And then at the very edges of the frame, you see some other lights. So even though a lot of elements of this composition are pretty similar to last week's, there's some important things that make it very different. There's also a lot less backlighting in this, because backlighting doesn't really make sense for a photo like this. Last week, the subject, or that ring of beads around the subject, had this translucent element to it. And so the backlighting really helped. Here, there's nothing like that. And so the backlighting would be, I would say pointless, but it wouldn't really have the same impact. And so I really tried to focus on the front lighting, the more traditional lighting. I lit it from the front and the side. And you can see that on the left-hand side of the bear's mouth/snout, there's a bit of a shadow. That's because the light is not coming from straight on, it's coming from the side. And it's one of the nicest things about off-camera lighting is you get to control all these aspects of the light. You get to control how far away the light is, how intense the light is, the color of the light, depending on the type of off-camera lighting, and the direction that it's coming from. And that all of those things together made this, the photo itself is as I've said like a half dozen times, it's pretty similar in a lot of ways, but it's notably different in some key ways. And it was a chance for me to play around with this off-camera lighting in a way that it was intentional to create a unique composition, despite the similarities to last week's shot. All the other lights in the room were turned off. This was just in our living room with our Christmas tree, but I turned off all the lights except for the Christmas tree and the off-camera lighting. I shot this at f3.2 with my 105mm macro lens on my D750. Auto ISO was turned off. I wanted a nice clean picture. So this is at ISO 100 at 1/10 of a second. It worked out really well. I think I'm done with my bear pictures for now, though. Maybe next year, Christmas, we'll do some more bear photos. But until then, we're just going to move on.